The 2024 NFL schedule has been released. How does it affect the San Francisco 49ers? We're talking bye weeks. We're talking rival matchups, tough stretches, easier stretches, all of it. Primetime games included on this episode of Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We love our everydayers. We love it when you subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms apply. Speaking of tickets, Croc, it's about that time to buy some tickets for some football games for a lot of 49ers fans out there making travel plans, booking hotels, because we've got schedules. We got regular season schedules. We got preseason schedules. We got bye weeks. We got other teams coming off of byes. I want to start, though, with the primetime games. And this is a marquee franchise, Croc. This is a team that is favored right now in the sports books to win the next Super Bowl, even though they've come up short in recent seasons. And the networks want the 49ers in primetime, Croc, and they're going to get them to the tune of 6 primetime games, including the Monday Nighter to open the season against the New York Jets. Another primetime game Thursday night. 2 Thursday Nighters, by the way, Croc, at the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe one of the toughest matchups of the year on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. Short week. Thursday night football on October 10th. Sunday night football versus the hated Dallas Cowboys, October 27th. And in between those two games, by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs. So no shortage of fantastic matchups this season, Croc. You got December 1st at the Buffalo Bills, Sunday night football, a Thursday nighter against the Los Angeles Rams at home on December 12th. And then late season, December 30th against the Detroit Lions, rematch of the NFC Championship game. That is week 17, Monday night football matchup that no doubt will have some playoff implications, Croc. 6 primetime games in this one. And I mean, just rival matchups galore with really good football teams. This season is shaping up to be another fantastic one. And I'm glad they're documenting this season, because this is going to be a pretty interesting run. Like this is an important season for the San Francisco 49ers in 2024. And now we see what the schedule is going to be.
You know, when I saw that the 49ers played in 2 Thursday night football games, I thought, is one maybe on Thanksgiving? They don't play on Thanksgiving. It's just straight up. They have 2 Thursday night games. I think, that right there, everybody would tell you, the coaches, the players, they don't like the Thursday night games. Short rest weeks. I'd say if there is a positive, one of them is home, one of them is away, but both of them are coming off of games where they did play at home. So they don't have to, play an away game on a Sunday and then travel on a short week. If there's one positive way to look at least that game, I would kind of take that angle.
Vieta in the chat says, rivals? What rivals? Only KC is a rival I'm scared of. Well, look, the 49ers have done a number on their rivals in recent years, but I mean, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Rams twice, the Seahawks twice, the Cardinals have never felt like that much of a rival. But maybe they're on the come up. Who knows? We'll see. Those division matchups are always really important for any Super Bowl run that you're trying to be on. The Dallas Cowboys is on the schedule. The 49ers have not. I mean, you should be scared of the Buffalo Bills. The 49ers haven't been very good against the Buffalo Bills. A budding rivalry against the Detroit Lions. I mean, that's most of the schedule.
When you look at those teams, I mean, they have some challenging teams that they have to play against. And, when I viewed this, as a matter of fact, I think I opened up Twitter, because as the schedule was being released, I was coaching high school football. I opened Twitter while I'm on the field to see whether, some of the fans saying about it. And I got tagged and someone said, this schedule is brutal, and I would say it's a schedule, right? I think it's middle of the pack in strength of schedule. Obviously, the 49ers, one of the better teams in the league. You have to go through this. You have to go through this. You went through it last year. You played some tough games. You won some, lost one to, Baltimore Ravens. That was a tough game. But this 49 teams, they know how to win and they know how to play in those big games. So I'm not worried about who is on the schedule. I think we've known that for several months now. It's when they play certain teams. And I think right out the bat, getting the New York Jets opening night, that's an exciting game. The rest of them, you kind of get to build up some steam, especially the Kansas City game and the Dallas Cowboys.
And in those rivalry matchups, I didn't even mention the interpersonal rivalry that Kyle Shanahan might have, not wanting to lose to his proteges, playing against Robert Saleh's New York Jets, playing against Mike McDaniel's Miami Dolphins. Those games on the schedule as well, and a rematch against all the playoff teams. Got the Packers on the schedule, got the Lions on the schedule, got the Chiefs on the schedule. The 49ers won 2 and lost 1 of those playoff games, including the Super Bowl there against the Chiefs last season. So, I mean, those teams are going to be coming for the 49ers. Now, the 49ers might feel good about how well they've handled the NFC West recently, how well they've handled the Seattle Seahawks recently, and the Los Angeles Rams, and, the Packers and the Lions in the playoffs. But those teams are going to be gunning for the 49ers too. And are you just going to run the table against all those rival teams every year? Dallas Cowboys, right? So it's going to be a fun year. And this is a really fun schedule. And I kind of like the way it's laid out in some ways. There are some difficult stretches, though, Croc, clearly. And I want to talk about what Gary brings up here in the chat really quick. He says, I hate how we play 4 teams coming off a bye, most in the league. And if I'm not mistaken, Croc, the 49ers had most in the league last year, right? Of teams they were playing coming off a bye. They get a mini bye before they play because they have the Thursday nighter against Seattle. Then they play the Kansas City Chiefs. So they have a little mini bye there, but the Chiefs are coming off their full bye. So they don't even have a rest advantage against the Chiefs in that week either.
I think that's one of the key things. But like you said, last year, 49ers had the most. This year, same again. I would say that the best teacher is experience, and going through that, understanding how to prepare for that, understanding how to prepare for teams, and still 49ers, top records in the league. They understand what it takes to play teams coming off of that and how to prepare. So I say that it feels a little unfair, but if there's any team that's built to take that on, it is this 49ers team. Again, a lot of experience playing in that scenario.
You never love the 2 Thursday night games. I don't like one of the Thursday night games being on the road at the Seattle Seahawks either. But the 49ers have overcome that too in recent years. And by the way, am I remembering this correctly? Because this came across my timeline a few days ago, and I forgot to cross check it to make sure it was right. Has Brock Purdy not lost to the NFC West?
Ooh. Well, he's only lost to.
They swept him last year. They swept him
the Vikings, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens. Those were the regular season games, and then the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. So yeah, has never lost to an NFC West team.
There you go. 8-0. Yeah, 8-0 against the NFC West in his career. Gary brings up a good question, Croc. What's the one game you circle on the schedule that you're going to travel to? An away game. Gary says Peacock to Miami in week 16. By the way, visiting Miami is much better in week 16 than would be in September or early in the season when it is hot and muggy in Florida, right? So I think that's a good pull for the 49ers to get Miami late in the season.
Hot, humid. It randomly rains in the summer. They have like these crazy like summer showers. So yeah, getting them in week 16, I think you'll actually get much more pleasant weather there in Miami. And I think that, I don't want to say just favors the 49ers. That's a speedy team there. Maybe you wanted to rain a little bit. Maybe you want a little bit more of a soggy field. And then they went and drafted some more speed. Was it a running back?
Yeah, they got Jalen Wright. He's the guy I compared to Raheem Mostert. So he's teammates with Raheem Mostert now. Pre-draft is like, this is the guy for the 49ers. He went just a few picks ahead of where the 49ers drafted Isaac Guerendo.
And not just Raheem Mostert. They got Devin Achane, who when healthy last year, like he was a terror once he kind of hit that stride, and then just another speedy running back. So I wonder if that means anything for a guy like Raheem Mostert. Is he potentially on his way out? But either way, there has to be one game that Peacock and I go to next year.
Yeah, it would be fun to do a road trip game. I wonder which road trip games John Chapman's going to be doing. Have the drinks flowing, because I've been trying to tell Chapman that I'm going to go to one of his 49ers Rush road trip games for a while. And Miami wouldn't be a bad one, to be honest with you.
Hey, man, if you're in, I'm in. Again, kind of need some of these write-offs, and that's an end of the season write-off right there. Kind of perfect timing for us. But oh yeah, we're writing off everything there. We're writing off the drinks, the food, the whatever else we do out there, snorkeling. I don't know what we might get into out there, but partying with the 49er fans would definitely be right there at the top of the list.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about some more of our favorite games, favorite matchups, games that we might want to go to, and some of the toughest stretches, and some notes about certain opponents. By the way, really quick, Croc, that Miami draft pick of Jalen Wright, they traded up to get Jalen Wright. I wonder if they were trying to get ahead of the 49ers, knowing that he would be the style of running back that Kyle Shanahan would want, and trying to thwart them. Interesting little wrinkle. I never really thought about that, because they did trade up to get Jalen Wright with that pick. Miami Dolphins on the schedule. It's going to be fun. Whole lot more fun to be had on the schedule. Let's get into it next. This episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Game Time. Killer last-minute deals on the Game Time app. All-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets. Don't you hate when it's when you are trying to buy tickets and you get your seats and it's like 6 months before the game, and then you get to the game and you're like, I don't even know where the tickets are, and you're fishing through email? Game Time makes it simple. Couple taps. Get a great deal, and those seats are right there on the app whenever you arrive at whatever event you are attending, whether you're buying tickets to one of these NFL games that just dropped on the schedule, or comedy shows, concerts, theater events, whatever kind of sporting events you're going to near you. Game Time has all the best last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, and comedy near you. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Toughest stretch of the schedule, Croc. When you look at the 49ers opponents here, I mentioned that short week Thursday night at Seattle, followed by Kansas City, and then Dallas Sunday Night Football. Both those two games are at home, though, against the Chiefs and the Cowboys. Then you get a bye, though. You get a little bit of a rest. I'm not super worried about the beginning of the season. Week 1, Jets. Week 2, Vikings. Week 3, Los Angeles Rams. Week 4, New England Patriots. Week 5, Arizona Cardinals. I think it's really imperative the 49ers get off to a hot start. Then they have that rough 3-game stretch, but then they get a rest. They get a little bit of a bye. Then you get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 10 after the bye. You get the Seattle Seahawks at home. You get the Green Bay Packers on the road at Lambeau. Then you go at Buffalo Sunday Night Football December 1st. Come back home to play the Chicago Bears. Thursday Night Football, short week again, Los Angeles Rams, but staying at home this time. Then Miami Dolphins week 16, Detroit Lions Monday Night Football week 17, and finishing up the season to be decided either January 4th or 5th at the Arizona Cardinals. Which stretch is the most difficult, do you think, Croc, for the San Francisco 49ers?
I think it's right there in the middle, man. Playing Seattle in Seattle on a short week, I think that's tough. And then obviously Kansas City, what they've been. Dallas Cowboys, although again, the 49ers have had their number, they have been a good regular season team. I know the 49ers throttled them regular season last year, but it's still a team that I don't overlook the Dallas Cowboys, because you just never know what you're going to get from them. But again, regular season, more times than not, you're getting a good team. Obviously, the 49ers have had their number in the playoffs. And then Tampa Bay, and then Seattle again, then Green Bay, then Buffalo. Like, I think all of those games right there, even the Tampa Bay game, it's on the road. You got to travel to another time zone. Historically, West Coast teams have not done well doing that. 49ers, I think Kyle Shanahan, after his first couple years, he's done a lot better with that. But going to a team now, second year with Baker Mayfield, they feel like they have something kind of going there. They were able to bring back guys that they really needed, like Mike Evans. I think they can be a sneaky good team in the NFC again when you're having to travel to their crib. And then, boom, you got Seattle again. You know how that kind of matchup is, and we don't know what they're going to be with the new head coach there. And then you got Green Bay and Buffalo. So I think all of those games right there, that whole little stretch, it's not like this most ideal, especially with who you're playing. Now, again, I can look at like Tampa Bay and say, oh, Tampa Bay W, Seattle, maybe you drop one, win one. Obviously, we've had their number the last couple of years, but they tend to play the 49ers tough, especially going up there. That's tough on the short week. But, man, Buffalo, Buffalo is one of those kind of like Dallas Cowboys. You just don't know what version of them you're going to get. You can get this version where Josh Allen's on fire and he just can't miss, or you can get this version where Josh Allen gives you 3 balls that you just take advantage of and you're in control of the game. So weird games there, but I would say that's probably the most challenging stretch.
So Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco last defeated Kansas City in week 5, Croc, of 2014. Jim Harbaugh era 49ers, 22-17 win. Running back Frank Gore led the 49ers with 107 rushing yards in that game. And his son is now in the NFL. That's how long ago it was that the 49ers beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You bring up the Buffalo Bills. The 49ers will be looking to get their first win against the Buffalo Bills since week 5 of 2012. It's been even longer. Now, they haven't played them as many times as they've played the Chiefs. But when they head to Buffalo, and by the way, cold weather game, Brock Purdy throwing in that weather. That's going to be interesting there. Week 5, 2012, the starting quarterbacks were Colin Kaepernick against Ryan Fitzmagic. And so that's how long it's been since the 49ers beat those two teams. And I think that's important. And looking at the schedule of the toughest opponents based on 2023's records, the Cowboys and Lions were 12-5 last year. The Chiefs and Bills and Dolphins were all 11-6 last year. Rams were 10-7 last year. And then you got the Packers, Bucks, and Seahawks, who were all 9-8. But we know how difficult Josh Allen is to play against. We know how difficult the Chiefs are to play against. And when I see this record, Chiefs 11-6 last year, it just keeps reminding me, Croc, at the opportunity the 49ers had to win the Super Bowl most recently. And I know 49ers fans probably don't want to talk about that. They want to look forward to winning this next Super Bowl. But the Chiefs were a team that could be beat, and the 49ers still couldn't make it happen. So they've got to be better this year. Like, that's even get like everything it takes to get there. You go through this whole season and you get to the Super Bowl in February, and you still got to throw down and beat a team that might be the team that's had your number. This is an important year for the 49ers because that Super Bowl window, I'm not going to say it's closing after this year, but it's going to look a lot different.
It definitely is. I think you and I both knew that the 49ers, when it comes to playing Kansas City Chiefs, if you're going to knock them off, that was your best opportunity. And that's not to say the 49ers, can't get it going. But I think a big part of it is getting that monkey off your back. We talked about that on Wiki Wednesday with, Steve Young in the Super Bowl talking about getting the monkey off his back, finally achieving that. And I think that's kind of the 49ers mindset. You got to take care of business in the regular season against that team just to prove to yourself that you can beat them. Right now, you've had great opportunities. Again, it reminds me of the Lakers and Nuggets. Lakers kept having double-digit leads, and somehow you lose 4-1 in the series. 49ers, double-digit leads in each of these Super Bowls, and you found ways to lose both of those games. So can you put together that complete game, show you could do it in the regular season, and then obviously come postseason, you say, okay, we feel a lot more confident about if we have to face that team again. Because right now, I don't think any 49er fan is confident about playing Kansas City, a Kansas City team that you'd assume would be better than they were last season.
3 rookie quarterbacks on the schedule too, Joshua says. And I wish that was the case. I don't think that's going to be the case for the 49ers. And, the backups or the bridge starters aren't that scary. But week 2, Minnesota Vikings, I think 49ers are going to see Sam Darnold probably, and not JJ McCarthy, right, in that game. And I think it's actually, you could look at it as Probably not as good for the 49ers that they'll be playing the veteran quarterback and not the rookie probably 2 out of those first 4 weeks. Now, Jacoby Brissett doesn't scare you. Sam Darnold probably doesn't scare you. Sam Darnold revenge game, I don't know. Week 2 against the Vikings and then New England Patriots in week 4. I don't think we're going to see the rookies yet. I think the only rookie quarterback we might see is December 8th against the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams there. And at that point, he'll have a full half season and might look like who knows? He might have his feet under him in the NFL at that point. And they got some weapons in Chicago too. So I don't think the rookie quarterback thing is going to be that much of a cakewalk for the 49ers because I think they might only see one of them in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the Minnesota Vikings, we'll see Sam Darnold, especially week 2.
Yeah.
Unless he looks just completely bad and inept at the quarterback position during training camp, which I don't foresee happening. I mean, we watched him in training camp last season with the San Francisco 49ers and thought it looked solid, right? Like he was efficient for the most part, throwing certain passes. Ball looked good coming out of his hand. We watched him with the starters in the regular season. And for those couple drives, he led the 49ers in 2 straight touchdowns, then had another opportunity, but there was a missed field goal there. So, I think he's probably relishing the opportunity to go and kind of be the guy. And can he replicate or duplicate what we saw from Kirk Cousins against the 49ers last year? I don't think so. You do have Justin Jefferson coming back. They're looking to get stronger at the running back position. They attack that. They got some good pieces there. But week 2, I think you'll see everything that they have on full display. And when you catch a team early in the season like Minnesota, there's a chance that they have this sense of like false confidence, as we like to say, where maybe they get a sneaky win week 1, and then now the 49ers come to town and everybody's counting them out, and they're like, man, we're at home. We're riding high. We have a lot of confidence. You catch some of these teams a little weird early on where you don't know quite what they are just yet. That's been the 49ers a couple of times throughout the last decade.
By the way, I heard Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell talking about Sam Darnold, and it sounded a lot like some of the things that Kyle Shanahan was saying last offseason about Sam Darnold. He didn't quite say he was the best thrower of in the history of his franchise or whatever it was, but he was talking him up pretty good. So we'll see. We might get to see that Sam Darnold run with the Vikings early in the season. But if JJ McCarthy and Drake May in week 2 and 4 are taking snaps, probably a good sign because that probably means Niners are up big and it's garbage time late in those games, getting those guys a few snaps. All right, more Croc here to finish up our NFL schedule release evening video here and breaking down some of these games. Let us know in the chat which games are you most excited about, which games are you hoping to visit and see live. We'll get to that next. This episode of Locked On 49ers is sponsored by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and a whole lot more. And it's not just NBA and NHL playoff games you can bet on. You got Major League Baseball going all summer. Every single day you can bet on a baseball game, or of course you can bet on those NFL futures. You like that 49ers schedule? They are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can bet on them. You can bet on rookies of the year, offensive and defense, and a whole lot more. There's actually lines up for weekly football games now as well that we know the schedule. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. What's the easiest stretch, Croc? Is it that first 5 games before things start to get a little bit difficult on that short week Thursday nighter?
I'd say you probably feel confident about that, right? You get New York at home opening night. You're excited about that. So obviously it's not like an easy win. They got some defensive guys over there. But a game I feel fairly confident about. Then you play Minnesota. Again, for all the reasons they probably might feel confident, I think the 49ers should be just as confident, if not more, traveling to Minnesota, taking on Sam Darnold. The Rams are the sneaky one because Matthew Stafford, you kind of just, you don't know. And right now, like a lot of last season, they played with and injured or had him on the sideline. Cooper Kupp, like how many games did he play to start the season? Then all of a sudden they kind of got in that groove. Do they get in that groove early on? Like Sean McVay is a good coach. Matthew Stafford is a seasoned veteran, and he played just as good as anybody dang near down the stretch last year. What do they look like coming out? They drafted another running back, another year with Kyron Williams. There's a lot of things that I feel like, Puka Nacua now, like he's not a surprise to anyone, and they're figuring out right now how they're going to, have both of their guys work together. I think a lot of good things going on there. Like it feels like that's a game the 49ers should just win. They've had that team's number, but every year everything resets. And I think like when you talk about your favorite stretch, it might just kind of end at Minnesota. Then you do have New England. I feel very confident about that game. Arizona, another sneaky team. Like Kyler Murray, he's starting the season this year. Last year, he missed a lot of time with the ACL injury. We've seen him early in years, and what that looks like is the 49ers, beating the 49ers at different times. So I don't know. It's awkward, but I feel like that's definitely, if there is a stretch where you feel the most confident, it would be those games to start the year up until you see Seattle on the road on a short week.
I'm looking at the East Coast trips, and it's a pretty nice schedule, especially early in the season. They go at Minnesota in week 2. New England's at home. KC's at home. Dallas is at home. You go up north of Seattle in the short week, but they really don't start traveling a lot until November 24th at Green Bay. And by the way, rough pull for Green Bay because we know what the 49ers do to opponents, and for numerous seasons straight now, opponents don't have great games after they play the 49ers. And for the Green Bay Packers, they're on a short week after the 49ers game because they're playing Thursday, Thanksgiving. So short week after the 49ers game. So bet against the Packers on Thanksgiving is probably what I would suggest. But at Green Bay, then at Buffalo, December 1st, you do get an extra day before that travel. Oh, no, you don't, because it's Sunday night, not Monday Night Football. So they're at December 1st at the Buffalo Bills. So that's a little bit of a trip, but then they're back home again. Then you have one more long trip at Miami, but really only 2 true East Coast trips at Buffalo, at Miami, and then a couple, Midwest. Green Bay's a pretty far trip, but Green Bay, Minnesota isn't nearly as far as, Buffalo and Miami. So I think for travel, it's probably one of the better schedules the 49ers have had in a while.
You talk about that Buffalo, not Buffalo. I think it's the Green Bay game. I think I was trying to talk my wife into going to 49ers Green Bay game. A little weird. Like you have to fly into, I want to say like Milwaukee, then drive like an hour and a half to where Green Bay is. We always talk about the travel for the players. Like, what about the travel for the fans?
Yeah, exactly. What about the travel for the fans? That's important as well. And yeah, I've never been to Green Bay. I've seen a baseball game in Milwaukee. I've seen baseball games in Chicago, but never football games in those cities. I bet it's a great atmosphere, but I don't like the extra drive after you fly. I don't like that at all.
We got calling for the Winkster-Damas.
Yes.
And I was going to say, we haven't done any predictions. Are we going to save that for Winky? Because that's kind of his thing now. I mean, he started off, it sounded outrageous last year when he said 49ers are going to win their first 6 games.
Yeah.
And then they're going to lose the next 3 games. And the teams that he said the 49ers would lose to, Minnesota Vikings, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns. Like, Winky, what are you talking about? And then it happened.
Yeah.
Exactly how he said. And then it kind of continued all the way up to maybe the Baltimore Ravens game, where he said the Ravens would lose to the 49ers. Obviously, they won. But he did have the 49ers going to the Super Bowl and winning. 49ers lost. But I would say that was probably as close as it gets with someone calling, a schedule before the season. We do it out of fun. It's conversation. But when he was on that roll, I mean, a lot of people were taking notice.
No doubt. And so, yeah, I can't wait to hear what Wink says about this schedule. I think we could kind of have a vibe of an over-under win total. What do you think that the win total will be for the 49ers based on this schedule as you see it? It's not the most difficult schedule, but there's some pretty big games on there and some big time opponents. I think it's a fun schedule. If you're just going through it quick, Croc, Jets feel good about the week 1 Jets matchup. Yeah, you feel good about that one?
Yes.
Then you got Minnesota, Rams, New England, Arizona, like 4-1 in the first 5 games. Does that feel realistic?
I feel like if you told me 49ers were sitting at undefeated heading to the Kansas City game, wouldn't be surprised at all.
Seattle, that's tough, man. Road Thursday night short week games is almost always a scheduled loss.
That is a tough one. That's the one I harped on it a lot about that being a tough stretch, and that isn't easy. I probably should put a little bit more respect on Seattle in that game, but it's just tough because when you watched them last year, they just didn't feel like a team that could really beat the 49ers.
And even if they lose 2 out of 3 in the Seattle, Kansas City, Dallas stretch, it's still 5-3 at that point before the week 9 bye. So 5-3, I think that's realistic. And then Tampa,
I think that would kind of be a disappointing start for most people.
It wouldn't be far off of where they were last year, right? They went 6-0, then lost 3 in a row. So it wouldn't necessarily be in a different place. And a couple of tough draws. Like, it would be less surprising to lose short week Thursday night at Seattle and then against the Kansas City Chiefs. It'd be less surprising to lose those 2 games than it would be to lose the 3 games they lost last year in a row, right?
Yeah. Nobody saw that coming except for Wink.
Except for Wink, exactly. You got Tampa, Seattle at home, at Green Bay, at Buffalo. Then versus Chicago. What's that team going to look like? I have no idea by December. Los Angeles Rams again, at Miami, versus Detroit, at Arizona. 6.
I feel like we went this whole time and didn't really talk about Detroit.
I mean, that's a big one. And Detroit got better. I mean, that they attacked their weaknesses in the offseason. They're going to be pissed. Primetime, Monday night game. There's going to be playoff implications in this game for one or both of these teams. Who knows? It might be a 1-seed matchup in the NFC. I mean, that's a huge game. December 30th, Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions, rematch of the NFC Championship game. Now, that's a massive football game.
Fresh off of a big contract from Jared Goff. How much more confidence does that give him heading into the season? Like, just to know that your staff is all in on you, right? Like 49ers right now with Brandon Ayuk. Shout out to Brandon Ayuk. I watched this little video where he was talking about how blessed he was and how he has no neighbors. But still, how confident are you that your team, and they might tell you, but have they proven it so far, right? They haven't yet shown that, hey, we're all in on you, Ayuk. I think right now they're all in on Ayuk at the right price. But the Lions were like, hey, Goff, what's it going to take? And I just think that just gives them even more confidence heading into this season.
Is this true? Steve-O says, yep, I'm from Green Bay. You fly in from Milwaukee, then drive. Also, beer, 3.2 in Green Bay, 5% in Milwaukee. 3.2%? That's a seltzer.
That's like a seltzer, or like.
Why? Why would be my question. It's in the same state.
I don't drink beer. I drink hard alcohol. So as long as the hard alcohol is still 40%.
That's bizarre. I've never heard that before. I have had the Spotted Cow though in Madison, Wisconsin, and I don't know if the Spotted Cow is so good just because you can't get it anywhere, and they're forcing it's like a forced. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I like the Spotted Cow, but it's. I think it's just because of the scarcity. Yeah, forced scarcity is the term I'm looking for there on the Spotted Cow in Wisconsin. All right, that's the schedule. It's gonna be a good one. 11-6. I feel like 11-6 is a realistic number for the 49ers. Could obviously go better, but like last season, we're like, oh man, Niners are going to run the table. They're going to go undefeated. Then you lose 3 in a row. It's like, okay, hold on a second. Let's chill out again. 11-12 wins. I think 11.5 is the win total at FanDuel, if I'm not mistaken as well. So yeah. I think that's
so then I'm taking the over. I like the 49ers winning 13 games.
13. There you go.
Now, you need
Thomas.
if you told me that they were as healthy as they were last year, right? And, they missed a receiver here and there and whatnot, but for the most part, pretty healthy. If you give me that, I'd say 13-4.
Yeah, I'm never going to give you that. I don't confidently say that any football team is going to be healthy.
Relatively healthy.
I'm not going to put that out there because there's a certain player that is really due, and I just don't want to. I'm not going to mention it right now. But
just give me my quarterback. Can I just keep my quarterback?
Are they going to run the table against the West again? Because that's huge. Like even if you lose one game at Seattle, short week, then at Buffalo's tough. You lose one of the Green Bay or Dallas games. The Kansas City Chiefs have the 49ers number, right? One of the other, Detroit or Miami, you start getting 5 or 6 pretty darn quick. It's hard to win. It's hard to win more than 12 games in an NFL season. It is, even for a really good team. It's hard.
And what's the over? Is it 11.5?
I'm pretty sure. I know it was at one point 11.5. I don't know if it's changed since the last time I checked.
I'd take the over.
Take the over. I wouldn't touch it. I think it's a perfect line because I think it's 11 or 12. If I had to bet on it right now, and certainly the 49ers could win more than 12 games, no doubt. I'm getting pumped, man. Thinking all these games. There's some good ones on the schedule, Croc. I'm excited. You excited?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited for Miami, man. We got to make our way out there. My wife kind of overheard us talking about it. She said, "You ain't going there without me." So
I'm leaving my wife at home if I'm going. No,
he got crazy leaving his wife. So sorry, babe.
All right, never mind. Let's just go to Green Bay then, Croc.
Yeah, he said we're just going to go to Green Bay. Then we're not going to Miami.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen. Pumped on the NFL schedule. Let us know what you think at BD Peacock, at Crocky209. Drop a comment on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed up there and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.